If your kitchen garden is struggling and your compost pile looks more like a dusty heap than the rich, dark soil builder it should be, you're not alone. One of the most common problems gardeners face, especially in hot, dry months, is compost that simply won't break down. Instead of that crumbly, earthy material worms and plants love, you're left with dried-out scraps that stubbornly sit there, refusing to transform. The good news is that dry compost isn't a dead end, it just needs the right nudge. In this guide, I'll share 5 proven compost hacks that not only revive a dry compost pile, but also turn it into a powerhouse of nutrition for your garden. Stick around because by the end of this, you'll have everything you need to bring your compost back to life. The first hack is to balance your browns and greens correctly. Most gardeners already know composting is about mixing carbon-rich browns and nitrogen-rich greens. But when your pile dries out, it usually means the balance is tipped too far toward browns. Dry leaves, cardboard, and shredded paper all soak up precious moisture like sponges. To fix this, start adding more green material. Fresh grass clippings, vegetable scraps, spent coffee grounds, and even a splash of diluted manure tea can work wonders. The goal here isn't to overwhelm your pile with slimy waste, but to give microbes enough fuel to break down the tougher carbon materials. Once you restore the balance, decomposition picks up speed, and your pile begins to generate heat again, a clear sign it's alive and thriving. The second hack is to bring in the water at the right time and in the right way. Simply dumping a bucket of water on your compost isn't the solution. In fact, that can cause water to run straight through the pile, leaving the middle as dry as before. The key is to water slowly and evenly. Think of it the way you water your raised beds. Gentle, consistent moisture is best. Use a watering can with a rose head or a hose with a fine spray attachment to lightly mist the pile layer by layer as you turn it. You want the compost to feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp, but not dripping. If you pick up a handful and water doesn't squeeze out between your fingers, you're at the right level. Done consistently, this single adjustment can rescue a lifeless compost pile in just a few days. The third hack is to chop materials smaller for faster breakdown. One of the hidden reasons dry compost lingers is that the materials are just too large. Big sticks, whole corn cobs, or chunky stalks take absolutely ages to decompose, and in a dry pile, they just become obstacles to airflow and water penetration. By chopping or shredding kitchen scraps and garden waste before adding them, you increase the surface area available to microbes. This small change, honestly, drastically speeds up the breakdown process. Even a quick chop with your garden shears before tossing scraps into the pile makes a huge difference. Experienced gardeners will tell you that the smaller the pieces, the hotter and more active the pile becomes. The fourth hack is to add a natural activator to jumpstart the process. When your compost goes dry, it often loses the microbial activity needed to keep things moving. This is where natural activators come in. A few shovels of finished compost, garden soil, or worm castings can reintroduce beneficial organisms. Another powerful option is a handful of alfalfa meal or comfrey leaves, both of which are rich in nitrogen and really speed up microbial growth. These aren't gimmicks. They're tried and true methods to reseed your pile with life. The fifth hack is to cover your compost to protect it from the elements. One of the simplest yet most overlooked solutions is to give your compost pile a cover. When left exposed, sun and wind wick away moisture faster than you can replace it. A tarp, old rug, or even a layer of straw on top can lock in the dampness your microbes need. Covering also shields your pile from heavy rains that might wash nutrients away. A well-covered compost pile stays consistently moist and warm, which is exactly what you want if you're aiming for that crumbly, humus-rich result. Over time, this habit alone can transform your pile from a dried-out disappointment into the black gold gardeners dream about. Dry compost doesn't mean failed compost, it just means the balance is off. By adjusting your browns and greens, watering correctly, chopping materials smaller, adding natural activators, and keeping your pile covered, you can bring your compost back to life and supercharge your kitchen garden. Remember, composting is a living process, and like any living system, it needs balance, care, and a bit of attention. Once you get it right, the rewards are endless. Richer soil, healthier crops, and less waste leaving your home. If you found these compost hacks helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Gentle Herb Living. Hit that notification bell for more weekly gardening wisdom, and share this video with a fellow gardener who could use a compost revival. Together, we'll keep our gardens thriving season after season.